we're back in the kitchen again this week, but this time I have a craving for something a little noodly, and I'm thinking ramen. A dragon ramen. So let's whip out those materials that we're gonna need. Of course, we're gonna need a nice little bowl to pop him into, and I've got some aluminum foil, wire, and tape here so we can get started on our armature. First, you wanna get started by scrunching up your foil roughly into the shape of a snake, since we're going for that lung dragon kind of appeal, and grab your wire. Now this wire is pretty flexible and easy to bend. It is actually an aluminum wire made for armature sculptures, so totally recommend it if you can get your hands on that. I'll put some links below. So you'll want to shape your wire into that of a happy noodle shaped dragon, and grab your aluminum foil and scrunch it onto the little wire armature you've just made. I like to go over it with some aluminum foil tape just to seal all that scrunched up foil together and make it nice and firm. This makes it a lot easier later to apply the clay and sort of avoid air bubbles a bit more. Now I'm going to be using my translucent Sculpey Primo here for this. I have mixed in a touch of yellow as well to give it that sort of noodly colour. And you'll want a fair bit because we're going to be using it to cover the dragon itself and make some noodles too. So grab your liquid clay. I'm just using Sculpey brand Bacon Bond here to adhere my clay to the surface of my armature. You don't have to be too pretty at this point because we will be covering him in tons of noodles. I just give it a quick smooth down with my trusty finger just so that when we apply the noodles they're nice and even. Now for the fun part. Grab some of that clay and squish it into a ball. I like to make sure it's nice and smooth so there's no like little lines and textured areas when we put it through the clay extruder. And this here is my clay extruder. I'll pop a link for it down below too. It's just a cheap one off Amazon, but it does a really good job getting you your noodly shapes. And these are the little extra accessory pieces that come with it. So they're just different little head fixtures so that you can have all sorts of fun shapes. So I'm going with this one here because it's going to make the perfect size noodles for the scale dragon I'm working on. So pop your clay in and attach your headpiece and away you go. She's a bit squeaky. Now you're going to want to do this a ton of times, so bear with me. Now we're going to get started working on our dragon's head. I've just grabbed a bowl of clay and started to shape it up to the basic structure of a head. Now these eyes I make myself. I have shown how to do them in a tutorial on my Patreon for those who are interested. And once they're in, now we go on and do the mouth details. This is always the part where the dragon just gets that little bit extra character and he really starts to come to life. Now I'm just using a ball tool here to get his nostrils looking nice and snazzy. And I'm pretty happy with how that's turned out so far. So now I'm just going to pop that onto the armature, and I've used a bit of extra clay too to seal the head to the body as well. Okay, let's start applying these noodles. I've just gone for a twisty pattern here, but you could do whatever you wish to get the effect that you desire. And I've added a couple of extra squiggles just to give him more of a noodly look. Now that the body's done, I'm coming in and working on some floppy ears. Now I'm going to be honest here, I got a huge inspiration from Falcor from the Never Ending Story. So I'm naming this guy Ramcor from the Never Ending Bowl of Ramen. I'm going to do 2 front paws. I won't be doing his legs because they'll be in the noodle bowl. So to do the 2 front paws, I'm just rolling out pieces of clay here and shaping them. There we go. I also have a tutorial for doing that on my Patreon as well. And you'll just want to attach them to the body I'm coming in and sort of blending them in with the noodles as well, but not completely, just subtly. Now we're going to need some more noodles because we've used them all up, so back to the clay extruder. And I'm using a little bit of Sculpey clay here just to fill the base of the bowl and to help support the armature as well. Once you're happy with the placement, you can start adding your noodles in. I'm going to be honest, this is the second most fun part of making this guy. Okay, now we get to make the ingredients, and this is going to be the most fun part. So I'm starting off with half of an egg, just with a bowl of white clay rolled out, and then getting a ball tool just to put an indentation in the middle for the yolk. Now I'm chopping off that extra bit of the yolk, and I'll come in and I'll give it a bit of a texture so it looks like we've cut the egg in half. You'll want to add a little bit of colour to the egg to give it a bit more of a realistic effect, so I'm pulling out my pan pastels here. And I've decided to make this a seafood ramen dragon dish, so I'm adding in some shrimp or prawns. I'm just using the translucent clay once again, along with some translucent mixed with a bit of orange, so that we can give him that coloured orange and clear stripy effect. Just grab one of your sculpting tools and just blend it in so it looks a little bit more realistic and a little less sharp at the edges. And when you're happy with what you've done, colour it up with a little bit more pen pastel for extra effect. Next, we're just making some little pickled ginger, I believe it is. I'll be honest, it's my least favourite ingredient in a ramen dish. And it just wouldn't be ramen without the little fish cakes. So here I am just putting a swirl in some translucent white clay and pinching out the edges to make them look like little starry flowers. I've also got a little bit of spring onion here. It's just a hollowed out piece of baked clay that I'm just cutting up into pieces. And these here are some 3D printed chopsticks that we've just printed at home on our home 3D printer. And now for another fun part, we get to assemble our dish. So you can have a lot of fun playing around where you would like to put your ingredients. And when you're done and happy, it's time to pop him into the oven. You want to remove your chopsticks and get them all painted up. And I've just painted his claws as well. So we're working on that lovely soupy broth that comes with your noodles. I'm just adding in a bit of tangerine ink here to the resin and mixing it in really well. And we just want to cover the whole thing. Let him sit for a day or so, and voila, you have your happy noodle dragon. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this tutorial. Feel free to leave a comment down below on what you'd like to see next, and don't forget to vote on my community polls too, because you guys are helping me choose the designs from now on. I'll catch you in the next one. Goodbye!